Surprise, motherfuckers. Oh, I hope the flash isn't on. It was. So, howdy. It's been a while. But wanted to talk about, one, reopening the economy. As a business owner, a salon owner, as a salon owner that hasn't collected rent for well over a month. And even then, it was trickling in because some people were leaving, in a sense, earlier before the close, and business was starting to dry up and slow down before then. Also, being behind on rent and trying to make it out of that. I'm under pressure from the new landlord. I've already been contacted by their lawyer and stuff like that. Just full transparency. Not that I have to be, but I like to just put it out there. Because I hope that, some of the things that I say, although sometimes incoherent and not consistent in releases, or not always following a certain line of thought closely, I hope it does help some people. So in our situation, we're facing, just the business being closed down by the landlord itself. The business was already doing bad. And I was just starting to catch up. If the coronavirus didn't hit, in probably about 4 months, I would have got everything caught up, because I'd gotten the new day job, which allowed me to make substantially more, pretty much more than double my income. And I was able to put more towards the business to try and save it and give it more time. Give us more time to, one, sell it. Give us more time to, to try and see if we can improve it, and even give us more time to possibly exit or do whatever else is necessary or possible for us. Really, just the first two. Exiting is really not the thing you want to do, because it costs so much more in terms of just having to deal with legal issues and matters and things like that. It's just really, you don't want to do that at all. You don't want to walk away. You don't want to say, fuck it, throw your hands in the air and just leave. You don't want to do that. Try your best not to. Try your best to be agile and move accordingly beforehand. So there's that. And then I look at the government. So the government reopening would help, but then there's also, hey, listen, people can come out and want to get their hair done, but when you're seeing more cases come out, I'm a pessimist. In some cases, I live for the bad news, because it's kind of like, oh, you're right. I was right. I feel that way sometimes. But, I see that even when our business reopens, if we even get the chance to, but if our business reopens, the tenants aren't going to come back. So the people that are actually cutting their hairs, barbers, stylists, aren't going to come back immediately. And then their clientele isn't going to come back immediately, because we're looking at close to 10% in terms of unemployment. Actually more than that, I believe. But, that was all covered up or sustainable, or okay, if you will, if you want to call it sustainable. That was okay because most people were working. So when most people are working, we don't really care about the ones that are not, the have-nots, if you will. So now we're seeing where everyone is in the same boat, and they don't know how to deal with it. People are going crazy, wanting to get out of their house. I mean, you can see the traffic in front of me on a Sunday. It's not as much as there usually is, but, you can see that, it's still quite a bit, if anything. It's not... This ain't no small amount of traffic here, especially on no, this is Saturday actually, not Sunday. But yeah, so even with that, I mean, I've always seen people out and about and doing their thing. So I haven't really seen where we've gone through a complete shutdown down here in South Florida. It's been slowed, but definitely not a complete shutdown. So with that being said, we go to the government's reopening, such as Georgia and other cities and states that are actually, courting that idea and making plans for it. Everybody's watching Georgia. Even my own day job is saying, hey, listen, mid-May, we're looking to be back in the office. right? And it's just like, okay, inmate back in the office. Not everyone has to come in. It's a soft opening. But really, it's kind of one of those, like, let's see who the guinea pigs are. Say who comes in for 2 weeks. And then after that, probably more and more people will be there. You know, like, I don't know what to say. It is what it is. But you look at states like Georgia. And with Georgia, I'm listening to reports where Georgia, the Georgia governor, although a lot of people are, you know, pillorying him in the news and saying that, hey, he shouldn't have done this. It doesn't make any sense. You know, he's threatening the lives threatening the lives of the people that are on the front lines of this health scare, this pandemic. But he's on the other side of it looking at $3 billion in losses. $3 billion in losses in tax revenue. Just because of the month that he's out. That's a lot of money, especially to a state in terms of state government making money and all that. That's a lot of money, especially when you're also looking at the other side of that. People want all this for the not just the healthcare system, but the school systems, the police forces, and even the unemployment services. For those things to be funded, motherfuckers gonna have to get out there and work. Businesses have to pay, or taxpayers have to pay into the system just so others can survive off of the system and live off of the system. It's always been like that. It's always like that when you're talking about the grand Ponzi scheme known as the Social Security. And people know about this, and they see it all the time, and they know that, hey, listen, if we don't do this, then, or if enough people don't work, then the old people will be asked out in terms of not being able to deal with what's it called, in terms of dealing with a lack of Social Security and all the social welfare services. So it's going to be even worse if they don't open up and start generating some type of money and get that money and funnel it into the actual local governments. So we can say, you know, hey, listen, worry about the lives of this person and that person. But sad to say, it'll really be the Hunger Games if these motherfuckers don't get their unemployment checks. If these motherfuckers don't get their social welfare. Like, it'll really be a problem for all these local governments, municipalities, if we do not get the economy open in a certain period of time. And that's what they're avoiding. Do I agree with it? Hell no. But I've been in essential work, and I've been working this whole time. You know, like my night job, which I'm driving into now, I haven't had a day off in a sense. Not that I couldn't take one. It's just I haven't taken one. You know, like, it's just regular work for me. My day job, we've been working from home, which has actually been really nice. Still staying somewhat productive in terms of what we do. But, you know, some of the things are laxed. I'm not going to lie. So I don't agree with it, but on the other side, like playing devil's advocate, as I often do, or trying to, in a sense, be that person, the walker of the fence, and understand both sides of the story. I know why he's doing it. You know, it's not. Put it like this, and this is what I plan on titling the video, and that's kind of the underlying, story, if you will. Your government is paycheck to paycheck too. You're not alone. Your government is living paycheck to paycheck too. You are their paycheck. You're the one that funds all these different government services and social welfare services and local municipal services, the cops, firefighters, road cleaning services, etc., construction and all that. You and I are the ones that do that. Now, I took my risk as a business owner, a salon owner, and it's just looking like it's gonna fail. I mean, it was looking like that before, and the term or phrase "death nail" comes to mind. And literally, this coronavirus is the death nail to my salon business at this point. I mean, I'm playing it day by day. I have no forecast. I have no plans. I'm just saying, all right, fuck it. We'll see what we can do, and you know, I already told my business partners, prepare for the fallout, and we'll see what happens. You know, this is the risk we take as entrepreneurs. It is what it is, you know, so we'll go from there. You know, we can do the SBA and things like that and try and get the loans, but if we don't get these loans and this money in time, and if we don't open up our business in time, I see the other side of that. But then, you know, there's also another side. There's a multitude of sides, of course, but one of the other sides is the person that's out of work, that can't get any money. That, yeah, you know, they may be getting that extra $600 in unemployment, but they have to make the calls and actually have to provide proof that, hey, they made X amount of money and X amount of payments to the government so that they can actually be a beneficiary of the actual social welfare system, you know, of these of unemployment system. So if they don't have that, they're SOL. You know, people that are actors that had, you know, gigs or gig economy workers that had 11 to 15 jobs. One lady was an actor, and she's worked for different plays and different production companies and things like that. So she's not your standard worker where she has one solid job or works for one firm. She might work for one firm that maybe even subs her out. She works for herself in terms of talent and all that other stuff. So, and these places have not produced the paperwork to give her so that she can actually prove employment for X, Y, and Z months. This is the stuff that we're looking at. We're looking at a total breakdown, whereas before, hey, if I could just make it to my next week and make it to my next payment, we could do that. Now, I'm in a little bit better position, but even I'm actually going to look into taking it, in a sense, advantage of, hey, if I can just defer a payment so I can put some money away just in case stuff really happens and I do lose work. I'm really thinking, actually, no, I'm not really thinking about that. I've already done that. Because I have a situation where I'm looking down the barrel of, you know, losing a substantial investment in a salon. It sucks, you know, but at the end of the day, like, I can work my way out of it. It is what it is. It didn't work. And that's really hard to admit and go through. But anyways, with that being said, you know, that your government's living paycheck to paycheck. Your workers are living paycheck to paycheck. Your businesses are living paycheck to paycheck, especially if you're a farmer, or even larger companies where they actually take out loans just to make payroll. You know, your airlines are living paycheck to paycheck, although they, in a sense, didn't really have to. They did it to prop up their stock prices, and that's the outside looking in. We don't know what goes on, but we do see all the reports of bonuses and so on and so forth, which the majority only cares about when shit hits the fan, like it has. So with all that being said, you know, it's just really, it's really eye-opening. And also even on a personal relationship level, if we look at some of the things that are happening, or if I look at some of the things that are happening even in my personal life, months ago I was approached by one girl, and she was saying, hey, listen, you know, would you date me? And the short answer, I told her no, because I tried to at one point, and I know I haven't changed, so what's changed about you? And I know there was somebody in between us, you know, between me trying and her. I remember vividly being in the car with her, talking to her, and then she not being interested in on her phone. And now, you know, a couple months ago it was a different story, and she's trying to say something. Last night I was bored. I still text her even after that conversation where I said no, and then I explained why. You know, just red pill shit. Just like, listen, I just don't really see that there's any point to doing that, and I don't really feel like I'm in that mood to do that, because I had gotten out of a relationship even recently, and I said, nah, I really don't. I'm not going back for that chick as much as I miss her and do still love her, but at the same time, like, I'm just not doing that again, and I have to look forward to doing something else. And no, I'm not talking about the stripper that threw shit all over my car. Although I kind of miss her too. That was kind of a turn on. Anyways, going on. So I was talking to this chick last night, and when I attempted to go out with her, which was a couple years ago, she was celibate. Come to find out, she's telling me how she was working, she was getting that work in with a dude that was married. in a sense, separated. This guy was looking to divorce his wife and go ahead and marrying her. So she thought. And I said, but that doesn't, and I told her straight up, and I was like, listen, that just sounds like a play to get in your pants. And it worked. And then she was like, well, you know, when a guy's going to your mom and talking to her and all this other stuff, blah, 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 I was just like, yeah, dudes will do that for pussy. And I'm like, no offense, women know when this shit is really going down like that. Like, they understand it, they see it. So I don't see how you could, in a sense, fall for that. And I'm talking to her, and, like, you know, I can hear she's talking more about sex. You know, talking about how he said, hey, it's wet, and he couldn't last too long and stuff like that. She wasn't being disrespectful or anything like that. She was just talking about it and then kind of alluding to it and not being kind of out there. Maybe not being, in a sense, not looking rude. And then, you know, I was just like, you know, I just like, oh, okay. But when a woman talks about sex in one of two ways, one, she'll describe herself in a certain way, like, hey, listen, it makes you want to get in it. And then that's like, she's trying to get you to get in it at some point in time, in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And she's telling me how, like, she's a pretty girl in terms of, like, you know, she's a bigger chick. So she's like a pretty BBW, if you will. I like big women, so it doesn't matter. That is not a big deal to me. But she's a pretty girl. But you know, she's talking about how she's never had a boyfriend, and I'm like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. But when I look at everything that's going on around us, that's really not that crazy. Recently was on Plenty of Fish and watching the live streams on Plenty of Fish and how thirsty dudes are on Plenty of Fish, and looking at all the different profiles of these women with 4 or 5 kids and talking about, hey, newly divorced, separated, and looking to start over again. And I'm like, with who? You better start back. You better start over again with your baby daddy, with your ex-husband, because this shit don't even make no sense. Why you out here with 4 or 5 kids? You crazy? Like, that doesn't even make no sense. What are you doing? That shit don't make no sense to me. So having this chick talk to me and saying all this stuff, and I'm like, you know, she has no kids, and she's actually taking care of her cousin's kids, but she has no kids of her own, in a sense. But and those kids, those are like 14-year-olds and stuff like that. She's 34, like myself, and I'm just looking at all this, and I'm like, holy shit, it's really coming true. You know, like, she was just like, we were talking, I was like, yeah, we're kind of like ships in the night. We're just passing each other in the night. You know, we have mismatched desires. And she was like, yeah, you know, she's like, yeah, what are you talking about? I was like, well, listen, when I wanted you, you didn't want me. And when you want me, I don't want you. Like, that's mismatched desires. I'll talk to you, but I ain't gonna be your boyfriend. I ain't gonna be the quote-unquote first boyfriend. I'm not looking to do that. You 34. You already been through all this shit. When I tried like 3-4 years ago, it was a different story. You didn't want anything to do with me. Then afterwards, then you want to be friends and put me on the shelf. And I'm like, holy shit. And this woman's won like local beauty pageants and stuff like that. BBW beauty pageants, by the way. So just a lot of big chicks. So when I see all this and all this coming together, and even things like the state of Georgia, you know, in a sense, living paycheck to paycheck, and they need their money so they can pay whatever they need to, all their pensioners and all the other staff members that they have. And then I'm looking at on the local personal level, where city and state governments and even people that you know, they're in a sense desperate for some type of, like, I wouldn't call her desperate, because I called her last night, so I don't want to get that twisted. I made the call. It's just the way the conversation went. I wasn't trying to really go there. I was just like, oh, okay, let me just talk to somebody. I know she'll answer, in a sense. You know, it's Friday night. What the fuck are we doing? So when I see all of this and I see all these things going down, it's really amazing. There's so many things on so many fronts that are happening to all of us, and really it's just something that you could just tell your grandkids, if I ever have grandkids, but it's to tell your grandkids about and be like, yo, listen, back in this and that, this day, There's so much experience and game to be learned from all of this, and we really should be focusing on it. And I've been focusing on my personal issues, business issues, and things like that. And it's like, okay, this is just amazing. Even with the shit hitting the fan for me and my business, but just everything else hitting the fan all at once. You know, it's really just amazing. And, you know, I'm really taken back by this. And wow, my eyes are wide open, and I'm just like, not that it was closed before in a sense, but it was just like, whoa, this shit went from 0 to 60, 0 to 100 real freaking quick. And people were totally asleep. And they're trying to put us right back to sleep with these stimulus checks and bailouts and all this other stuff. You know, this is just gonna be, and I'll end it with this, but this will be probably, this is gonna be the event of our lifetimes. This is the 2008 deferred, 2008 delayed, 2008 was nothing in comparison. You know, with all that, sorry for the noise, it's just rough roads here. But with all that being said, it's like looking at all of this and saying, whoa, this is our reality right now. This is what we're seeing on a daily basis. This is what our lives are going to be defined by. Some people are just coming out of issues and downturns with 2008 and trying to make something of themselves. And now they're right back in the shit, so to speak. They're right back in crap situations. This has destroyed so many in such a short time. And it could be even worse if we didn't close the economy down. I really don't know what to think, because I see both sides of this. I don't want to get sick, but at the same time, I don't want to lose what I have. But I do believe in religious teachings that say, hey, none of this stuff is guaranteed or owed to you, and sometimes you do have to let go. You have to learn to let go. And I just don't want to let go of my life. As always, thank you for listening, and I wish you all the best. Stay safe and wash your hands.